The NCAA is considering, Robert, ending its ban on gambling on professional sports as soon as June, according to media reports. Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Throwdown Thursday edition, off-season administrative news and notes. There is a lot going on, and as we say on the show, most decisions are made in shorts, t-shirts, polos, sundresses, and khakis, and there's a lot of things going on. So got our favorite administrator, Robert Abney, here with us. Robert, are we ready to dive into admin stuff?
No, but we're going to do it anyway, so let's go.
All right, a commission into college athletics. Nick Saban is reported, I have to say reported, to co-chair President Donald Trump's Commission on College Sports, according to media reports. And the other co-chair is expected to be Texas Tech Board Chairman Cody Campbell. Trump, again, according to media reports, plans to form a commission focused on college sports. It is also added that the president will be very engaged in it. President Trump is also considering an executive order, which we talked about last week, that more likely than not won't do anything because that has to go through Congress. But Robert, when you heard that there was going to be a commission and Nick Saban was going to be on it, and Cody Campbell was going to be on it. What do you think? Because Campbell is in charge of the Texas Tech NIL collective, the Matador Club. What are you thinking about this commission?
Well, first, I will say this, Trump does enjoy sports. He
Correct.
does enjoy sports. So I can see why he would be interested in being involved. All this commission is going to, first of all, you're appointing a commission. He says he's going to be very engaged. There's no way of knowing what that actually means. Because one of the other things about Trump is that, whoever the last thing someone said to him is what he's going to be paying attention to. So obviously, we know he recently had that meeting with Nick Saban, hence why we're getting attention to college athletics. It's a commission. What are they going to do? They can have conversations. They can make recommendations. They can say, oh, we think this should happen. We think that should happen. This is bad. This is bad. Here's how we make it good. But a lot of times commissions don't even do that. All they really do is point out everything that's wrong. And all you have to do is listen to us because we'll tell you what's been going on that's not good. Trump considering an executive order, okay, so he does an executive order, somebody sues him, and it goes in the courts and nothing happens. The only thing that all of this is really going to do is kind of just muddle up the House settlement. That's all that's going to happen. It's going to muddle up the House settlement, which still isn't approved. All of this, it's just, as we've said many times, had the NCAA taken the opportunity to address this situation a long time ago, we likely would not be here.
Yeah, and I like that you said it that way. We've been in public education a long time, and whenever there's a think tank, a committee group, or whatever, it is just kind of to combine all thoughts and knowledge about what's not good with something, and then make a recommendation that generally tends either to be followed to some extent to say we followed something, or to keep it in the forefront until something else comes along. So that's kind of how I'm feeling about the commission. At least you can say you have one, but when you learn how policies and procedures work, it's still Congress that has to do something. So maybe you could talk to an additional congressperson, but okay. And speaking of the House, for House case, over the last year, um, over the last couple of weeks, the roster spot has been the issue. And it seems that this is not going to be solved this week coming up. The defendants are trying to please the court. Everyone is trying to please Judge Wilkins. So once it's turned in, Judge Wilkins will consider the plan, and if approved, then it moves to final approval. But as Robert eloquently said, as soon as it's approved, somebody's suing something. So the question I have for you this week, Robert, about House uh, is it going to last and put the Band-Aid on, or is it just going to hold us for maybe a year or two before something else concrete comes up? What do you think?
That's kind of my the latter is kind of my feeling. I think that as soon as the settlement is reached, I think that it will be appealed to somebody else, and then we will basically be back where we started, where, with no regulations or anything else. The roster limits, I mean, we talked a little bit about that last week. I saw that one of the attorneys for the plaintiffs is saying that the athletes who currently are subject to roster limits are now going to be exempt for roster limits for their entire careers, which could mean 9 years, because we know how many years some of these guys get eligibility for. High school seniors who are promised spots for next year. Who's going to keep track of that, right? It's just, it's, let's see what the judge says. Maybe we'll get something this week, because then we know, at least we have something to start from. But again, I can't see how it's not almost immediately appealed or taken back to court.
Yeah. All right. So we'll, as unfortunately we say in education, we'll put a pin in the House decision until we hear from Judge Wilkins. And as we close this week, we're going to talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only. The NCAA is considering, Robert, ending its ban on gambling on professional sports as soon as June, according to media reports. The Division I Board of Directors voted 21-1 in favor of removing the prohibition of professional sports betting in an April video conference. The proposal has been sent to the Division I Council, who could potentially approve the change to be fast-tracked into existence in late June. NCAA rules currently state that student athletes, coaches, and athletics staff members are not allowed to bet or provide any useful information that can influence a bet in any sport the NCAA sponsors at any level. The Division I Board of Directors also directed the NCAA staff to develop concepts for appropriate committees to consider regarding a safe harbor, limited immunity, or reduced penalties for student athletes who engage in sports wagering but seek help for problem gambling. The rule book currently describes sports betting as a serious threat to well-being of student athletes. Okay, Robert, we have reported on schools and players and coaches and so forth. What are your thoughts on them saying, okay, not college sports, but you can bet on professionals?
It seems to me like it's a Band-Aid to try to ease a little bit of their regulation headache with gambling. That's what it feels like to me. They know they have an issue, and at least they're saying that they're going to create a safe harbor for athletes who claim to have a gambling problem. because we know those kids are out there, right? We're just not hearing about it. We know those guys are out there. So at least they're doing that. But I think this changes anything? No, because you still can't regulate what kids are doing on their phones. You can't. It's
No,
impossible.
we're school
So,
system people. Yeah,
yeah.
man.
So I mean, it's impossible. I mean, you can tell them until you're blue in the face, hey, it's illegal. You can't do that. But you have no way of regulating that. And
Yeah.
I think this is just probably one less. They're trying to give themselves one less thing to regulate, which isn't a bad thing. But I can almost guarantee you, if they're wagering on pro sports, they're wagering on college sports also.
Yeah. One of the things that has come up is NCAA is actually sharing data with sports folks in terms of March Madness football, and I believe On3, which is an outstanding publication. They've talked about it. So you can't do one and not do the other. Um, Walk, educate, but call the professionals and say, how do y'all do this? There's collaborative people out. There's roadmaps that you can look at and then make a decision what's best on you. But some of the people who are getting in trouble for gambling, you're like, this had no impact on anything. And it is, as we say, strictly for entertainment purposes only. The information is being flooded on campuses, just like credit cards. And you're saying, not for you, but you can make $2 million and be backup quarterback. I'm like, eh. All right. So, fans, when we get back in segment 2, Sweet 16 for football, as predicted by the Odd Coaches podcast. It seems like college football is going to run to the money. We're going to talk about a potential 16-team playoff. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Keith Adams, and for years, I've witnessed the struggles student athletes face on how to truly balance the demands of academics and athletics. It's a question that I have dedicated my life to answering. That's why I wrote Finding the Balance, my personal journey to academic and athletic success. It's more than just a book. It is my personal journey, and it is filled with hard-earned lessons from decades as a coach, educator, and now president of the CKA Safe Project. Inside, you will find practical advice, real-life stories, and a clear roadmap to help student athletes, coaches, and parents navigate the complex world of balancing sports and education. And now I am thrilled to bring this message to a wider audience as a proud member of the Cascade Sports Network. We're partnering to amplify these crucial conversations about student-athlete success. I believe every student-athlete deserves the opportunity to reach their full potential, both on and off the court and the field. You can purchase your copy directly from our website at www.ckasafeproject.org. Join me and the Cascade Sports Network as we work together to help every student athlete succeed. Well, welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. In segment 2, Sweet 16. So, a potential 16-team college football bracket has growing Big Ten and SEC support. That's all you need. The 16-team playoff would include 4 automatic bids, which would go to the SEC and the Big Ten. The ACC and the Big 12 would get 2 spots, while the group of 6 would get 1, and there will be 3 at-large bids. As I was listening to the national media had a problem on a lot of shows, Robert, with the automatic qualifiers. But when you look at the top 25, it's already there anyway. But what are you thinking about 16, man? Is that the right number?
Sure. I mean, To me, it makes more sense that you have 12 and you have the first round on campus sites, and then the four best teams get a bye. I mean, to me, that makes the most sense. But I'm just some dude on a podcast, so nobody cares what I think. I guess, I mean, 16 is a round number. The bracketing's easy. You play the first round games at home sites, then you go to bowl games after that. I mean, it makes sense.
What about the play-in piece? What are you thinking about that? Where the SEC and the Big Ten do play-ins?
That's that's a money grab. That's all that is, And I mean, you would think that no one would care about the fifth and sixth place teams in the SEC playing each other, trying to get into the playoff for the right to get beaten up by Ohio State. But here we are. I mean, I don't like it, but again, whatever.
Yes. And speaking of whatever, how much for a ninth game? ESPN is willing to pay $50 to $80 million more to the SEC for a ninth conference game. We're in. Media reports have stated that. The league is expected to renew discussions about expanding the league slate from 8 to 9 games. Yeah, that's why Major League Baseball. Hey, baseball, this is it. This is where your money's going. The network has not made a formal offer, and the exact amount of money is not clear. But a 9-game SEC schedule was discussed but tabled as the college football playoffs kind of went to 12 teams. Conference Commissioner Greg Sankey, whatever he's making, he needs a raise. Cited the need to see how the committee weighs strength of schedule in the decision to hold off on a decision. 2024 season marked the SEC's first under the exclusive media rights deal with ESPN and ABC. It turned into an impressive debut as 8 of the 10 most watched teams in college football came from the SEC. Sankey also said Disney would have a seat at the table in discussions about an expanded schedule. Robert, talk to me, man. 9 games, is that where we're going?
9 games makes a lot of sense if you think of it in the context of trying to break ties and make it easier to sort out who's going to get those automatic bids and who's going to be in the play-in games for the playoff. That makes sense. But the SEC doesn't, I mean, they don't need it.
I can tell you what they need.
Because if you look at strength of schedule, I mean, if you play an SEC schedule, your strength of schedule is going to be very high. Even if you play St. Agnes for the blind and one-legged for your bye game, where, so you can have a home game where you beat somebody and the alumni come and everybody's happy. I mean, and that's what these schools stand to lose. A lot of schools stand to lose that one home game against somebody they have come in who they beat up. And some of these schools don't want to do that. And that makes sense. But at the same time, it makes sense for them to say, let's see what that 9th game would do for us in the context of the playoff. In the end, I don't think it matters. If ESPN is willing to pay that much for the game, how much are they making from the game? That's kind of my question.
Yeah. So, and then taking this back to the 16-team playoff, it's already stacked. It's already hard to get up the ladder. When they do the preseason top 25, it's littered with mediocre SEC and Big Ten teams. And then you throw in the Big 12. and you throw in the ACC, and Notre Dame is going to be ranked high. So a team like Boise in the Mountain West or the Pac-2 or whatever, you're already battling the American Conference, man. Good luck, Army, Navy, Tulsa, whoever else is in there. So when they say we shouldn't do 4 automatic bids, I'm actually on the other side saying, at least I know y'all gonna get 4. So now I'm gonna make my argument to be, whatever, because you already got 4. Yeah, and that's my argument for you not to have 5. So
Yeah.
I would probably want it that way to say, okay, if I beat Notre Dame or whatever, that's going to give me a better shot. If you just do the best teams, I'm already out. But at least now I know I've got a shot. It's like in college basketball, the one bid conference. At least I know the rules. If I want to get in the NCAA tournament, I have to win my conference tournament. And to win my conference tournament, I have to have a higher seed. So if I win the regular season, then I have a better okay. And if I lose, it's on me. And Notre Dame is stacked. Notre Dame knows the rules, man. They got a 10-year agreement now to play Clemson, and that counts as an ACC game. So now I can get that extra home game with, try not to lose to Northern Illinois, but you get the idea. Yeah, they're cooking the books, and they're cooking the books in front of you. So give me the automatic bid, so at least I know what I'm dealing with. And if the 5th place team in the Big Ten, Penn State, doesn't make it, don't give me that line about, well, we should be. Nah, I'm done with you. I gave you this. Go.
Yep.
Leave me alone. Let me try to be the best group of 5 or whatever else they have in there. All right, that was good. So in segment 3, folks, we've got one more set of things to talk about. Academics, APR, and college sports. Yes, you still have to go to class despite all the money. We're going to talk about that. We'll be right back on the Hot Coaches Podcast. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here. And for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond. And that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CK Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 3. How are you still failing when all of the things are set up for your success? Okay, let's introduce APR to those who don't pay attention to the academics part of it. The APR measurement calculates how effectively colleges are keeping their athletes on track to remain eligible and graduate. The Akron football team scored an 885 during the 2021-2022 school year, a 905 2022-2023, and a 920 2023-24. I'm going to explain what all of this means shortly, but they are the first FBS team to be ineligible for bowls for academic reasons since 2014. Other teams like Mississippi Valley State, Arkansas, Pine Bluff are also ineligible for the postseason. FAMU, Missouri State, Murray State, and Utah Tech, what are y'all doing, have all received practice time limitations. Okay. So the president of Akron, R.J. Niemer, is ready to get rid of this dark cloud. He addressed the bowl ban in a daily email to faculty and staff. He acknowledged that during the coaching transition they made, some things fell under the crack. Akron's not very good, but here's where we are. Robert, when you hear stuff like that, what comes to mind for you?
Well, first of all, I didn't know they were still doing APR with the portal and everything. I had no idea. Because how is anybody keeping track of academic progress with all of the transferring that's going on? Because as far as I know, none of that is happening. So how is Utah Tech keeping track of all of these kids that are coming and going to and from their school in the age of the portal? Because anybody who's any good is going somewhere else. How are they keeping track? And I mean, yes, it is still intercollegiate athletics. And because we're talking about college, there should be an academic piece to that conversation, as we've argued many times. But I have no idea how they're even doing that. I really don't. I did not know they were still keeping track of APR. I did not know that was still a thing.
All right. So, yeah, you have to know, okay? It's our job to know. And what are we doing? Okay. So I'll get off that rant and get to another rant. ACC basketball. So the ACC only had 4 teams in the NCAA tournament this past season, which is still amazing unto itself because it probably should only have 3. Okay. So now the ACC is moving back to an 18-game conference schedule next year, with the thoughts that, hey, we're going to play better schedules. We'll play one less conference game, and that's going to help us. And Robert, if they lose that conference game, that's not going to help. What did you think when you heard the ACC says, all right, let's drop back to 18 conference games and let's go ramp up our non-conference schedule so we can have more teams in the tournament?
If you're not any good, it ain't going to make any difference. And the fact of the matter is, outside of Duke and maybe Clemson, teams in the ACC have not been good. So the real solution is not play fewer conference games. It's get better. It's the real solution.
Okay. All right. We're going to close with some rapid fire items from the National Association of Basketball Coaches. One, Robert, any thoughts to a 32-game schedule for men's college basketball? Is that too much, too little, or just right?
So that actually would increase the amount of games that they're currently allocated.
Mm-hmm.
I find interesting because I think the national champion was like 38-2 or something like that, which adds up to 40. So I mean, that's fine. I mean, the game limit doesn't make any. You want a equal footing for everybody, so you want to have a number, but I don't think that number matters all that much, truthfully.
All right. And finally, from the NABC, this is a convention update, which Robert hung out with me at. The NABC and the NCAA for years have enjoyed a formal partnership, a long-term agreement, but things are changing. And they reached a 1-year extension that kind of kept the tournament and the convention pretty similar. But as negotiations with the NCAA continue, the NABC is going to prioritize continuing to give our members access. But one of the issues that they're having is money. It's expensive to go, and a lot of coaches are starting not to go just because they're being priced out. And we're talking about the regular high school guys, because I used to go years and years and have a good time, but the more it became corporate, the less it became welcoming to the broke folks who use their stipend money to have a good time and get some professional development. So try to figure that out, guys, because Y'all are just like WWE. WrestleMania is not for the regular people anymore. All right, as we close, May 21st to May 24th, I will be in Chicago, Illinois at the Black Student Athlete Summit. The Black Student Athlete Summit unites student athletes, athletic professionals, and industry innovators for 4 days of dynamic programming, career development, financial literacy workshops. I'll be presenting on finding the balance, navigating academic and athletic success. My presentation is on Wednesday, May 21st from 2 to 2:15 with a question and answer session. I'll talk about name, image, and likeness, the transfer portal, the academic pressures, and still trying your best in this changing time to put academics in the forefront. You can do both. It's okay. You can get a degree and you can make money. They're not mutually exclusive. So I'm looking forward to that. Robert, have you had the pleasure of going to Chicago? Any recommendations if you have?
Not anytime
Because I
recent.
want some pizza. That's what I was told to get some pizza.
You got to go to there. You can go to the original Pizzeria Uno. Because they have a chain now, and the chain because I don't eat pizza, but the chain's not any good for what I understand. But if you go to the original, that's pretty good.
All right. So on behalf of our favorite administrator, Robert Abney, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, also seen on the Cascade Sports Network. And we'll see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org.